the Gems podcast with Shom, where we celebrate hidden gems and give them their shine. We dive into lesser known music, rare records, vinyl culture, and the worlds of jazz, funk, soul, rare grooves, and international heat. This is for all you music lovers, sample hunters, beat diggers, e-diggers, and musical world travelers. I'm Shom, longtime record collector, music lover, and music researcher who discovered music in reverse. I started off as a huge hip hop fan, tracking breakbeats, samples through jazz, funk, soul, psych rock, and everything in between. Digging is really endless, and I've always been fascinated by the context, history, and characters behind the music. Some of you may be music experts, OGs who have been in the game for years. Some of you may be newer and learning, but that's all good. As for me, I'm forever a student. On today's episode, I'm joined by Phill Most Chill, aka Soulman, out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you're into beats, you're into digging, you may have come across his name. He's a true hip hop renaissance man, record digging legend. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I've enjoyed what you do for some time. For our audience, how would you describe what you do?
Okay. Basically, I do a little bit of everything as far as hip hop goes. I guess, a term you could use is, like you said, Renaissance man, a creative, whatever. But I've done a little bit of everything. I rap, I've produced. I don't consider myself a DJ because I have so much respect for DJs, but I've done plenty of beat mixtapes. What else? I'm an artist. I'm forgetting stuff now. Journalist. I wrote for magazines. So, yeah, I've done a whole lot of stuff and have a lot more that will be coming real soon.
I'd say you've done a lot in different ways. Like you said, a Renaissance man, a real chameleon. And I've enjoyed it in different ways. And I also say I've learned about it in different ways, right? In particular, you had a website called World of Beats, and it had interviews, had mixtapes, it had records, it shared records at a time when people didn't always do that. And I learned a lot at an early stage when information wasn't so available as it is now. And I learned a lot about how you broke things down, especially your mixtapes. Archaeologist classics are the shit to me. And they were mind blowing at a time when I was really like open, right? I was open and learning, and I appreciate everything you kind of shared through that.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's great. Yeah, the archaeologist classics, that's something I did just starting out, just buying records all the time, and I'd go out on beat digging missions, and I wouldn't have time really to listen to the records like at home and anything, so I'm on the road all the time. So I started putting them on tapes just so I could listen to them in the car while I was driving around. And then my friends started hearing them, and they were like, "Yo, that's dope. Let me get a copy of that." And then, the more I let people hear them, the more they said, "Yo, I want to hear these." So then I got the idea to start selling them. You know what I mean? And that's where it all started, as far as doing the mixtapes. Archaeologist classics turned into the Soulman World of Beats mixtapes, and so on and so on. That was back. We're talking about over 30 years ago now. This is pre the internet and everything when I got started doing this, and even for me, just to learn a lot of this stuff, people did not want to give up the names of a lot of these records. They didn't want to tell you. But luckily, I met people like my guy Benny B and my man Supreme LaRock. His name was Mr. Supreme back then, but Supreme LaRock. And they were the first ones to really show me the deeper level of diggings. I've been digging years before I met them, but they showed me the deeper level. And, I always felt that, yeah, I know you don't want to give everything away, but you still want to spread that information to people. You want to teach, you want to enlighten people. And I've always tried to do that while still keep a little bit of the secrecy as well. You got to do that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a super interesting topic. You kind of open things up for people, and I benefited from that. And those rules that existed then that maybe you saw, maybe you broke some of those rules. I would say the world's quite different now, right? Other people I interview have a similar story, hiding record labels, things like that. It goes a lot kind of more intense, and so that's a topic we'll talk about, right? It's going to come up a few times.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
no doubt.
yeah. And one thing I wanted to say For your mixtapes, your design work was sick. I mean, those covers. First, I was like, "Oh, it's a nice looking cover," and then I would be digging. I'd be like, "Oh, that's that." It's almost like your mixtape covers were clues. I was like, "Oh, maybe there's something hot on that." So it's like layers to this.
Yeah, yeah, and that was one of the things that I actually was trying to do. I was giving you little nuggets in the artwork. You know what I mean? A lot of times the cover or the artwork I use on the cover, that song wouldn't even be on the tape. You know what I mean? But I would put it on there still, so you recognize that image, and then one day you'll come across the record and say, "Ah, okay, that's one that I need to check out." You know what I mean?
That's what happened for me. So so yeah, it's really as a teenager growing up in Toronto, Canada, my access was different. I mean, there are people who dig heavy there, but
I know very well.
yeah. So to learn from you coming from kind of Philadelphia, you probably traveled around a lot to get all your crates. I mean, it was very cool. Tell us about your early stages. You mentioned some key names, Benny B, Mr. Supreme. What first got you into collecting? Because you're not a recreational collector. Tell us what pulled you into this world.
Okay, so it began in the '80s when doing just making rap music really. I mean that's when you start talking about digging in the crates. It all starts with people like that. It starts with your Grandmaster Flashes and your Bambatas and your Cool Hercs and all the DJs from that era of hip hop. That's where it starts, just looking for those beats. And that's how it started for me. Um, I started, I got turntables like around 1984, and we had all the octopus breaks and all the like the disco 12 inches that had the bootleg breaks on them and all that. But then after a while, you want to start getting the original records. So that's where it all started from that. And then right around that time, we're talking about 86, 87, rappers started sampling. So now it's okay. I got to get all these James Brown records. I got to get all this. I got to get that. You know what I mean? It became more than just looking for beats. Now you're looking for stuff to sample. And it just, as from going from the late '80s into the '90s, it just got deeper and deeper. And then when I started writing for Rap Sheet magazine and I started the World of Beats column, at that point, that's when I got to really go deep with it. Like I said, I met Benny B, I met Supreme, and they showed me the deeper level of digging. And then after that, I was gone. Pretty much, I wanted to get everything I could, every rare record, everything with a sample, everything with a break. I just wanted everything, and it just took on a whole new life from there. And then once you get addicted to it, it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. You know what I mean?
There's so many questions I have based on what you said. Can you enlighten me about octopus breaks? What are they? What kind of sound? What should I look for?
Okay, well, octopus breaks are just the ultimate breaks and beats before they were ultimate breaks and beats. That's all it was. They first came out, there was just a record and it had picture of an octopus on it. And it'd be volume one, volume two, volume three, on and on and on. And yeah, it was break beats. It was stuff that they played at the hip hop jams back in the days. And that's pretty much all that was. But they were like to me, they're like the foundation of what a lot of DJs, especially the ones who weren't from that original era and didn't know all this information, it's the thing that got everybody started when it comes to digging and when it comes to just collecting beats and breaks. You know what I mean? And especially for sampling, hip hop would not be the same without those records. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. I mean, those are great records. I'm familiar with Ultimate Breaks and Beats, and I do remember the octopus on the cover. I think they've had a lot of different incarnations, like earlier ones, and then maybe the ones in the 90s and 2000s.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, the original ones, like I said, the original ones just had the octopus on the cover, but they're the same as the UBBs for the most part. They're not really any different. Same people put them out. Lenny Roberts, a Breakbeat Lou, they're the ones who put those out. So, same thing, but different eras, I guess you could say.
Okay, dope. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, they shared things that were sampled, and then sometimes they shared things that people sampled after because they put them out. I mean, some of them they just had really dope open drums, and people sampled those for sure a lot because they're crisp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've taken us through a few different parts of you, right? How did it all come together? Did you rap, produce, write all at the same time, or were these different eras?
No, well, let's put it this way. I started out rapping because when I first started, you couldn't really, you didn't have the technology to really be able to produce anything. Or I didn't have that technology anyway. But then once as we got later into the 80s and they started coming out with machines like the SP and samplers and things like that. And that's when I started trying to put together my own records. And it was very crude at first, but it got better and better as time went on. I was able to buy more equipment. So really, even before that, though, I was DJing, me doing the mixtapes, the Archaeologist Classics, and the Soulman World of Beats tape. So one thing kind of led to the next thing.
It shows a lot about you. I mean, you didn't get stuck on one thing. You tried different things. All those things are skills in themselves. And it's not everyone who has the knowledge of hip hop culture, records, who can speak about it and write about it in such an articulate way. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's not even like by design or anything. It's natural, and you see a lot of people like that who they rap, but they also DJ and they also produce. Some of the people who you don't even know as producers or DJs, you might just know them as a rapper, but they do this other stuff too. They do artwork too. It's like that what they call it, the golden thread or whatever that goes through the different arts and things and math and science and all that. It's when you have that thing in you, you're just naturally drawn to all of it. It's not just one thing, it's all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think something when someone is good at one thing, there's times when it unlocks something else. And I especially like the topic of rappers who produce, who people don't think of them as producers. There's a lot of them, especially from, let's say, the late 90s, early 2000s, who kind of surprise you on some of those beats they made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could dig into that rabbit hole too. You mentioned record conventions. For our audience, actually, it's interesting on a episode I just had before this, we got into a lot of stories about a record convention in the Netherlands, Utrecht Record Convention.
Okay, yeah.
Heard a lot of cool European stories. Now, you might have been around different record conventions, the Roosevelt Record Show. Can you tell us about that? And maybe for our audience, paint a picture of it.
Okay, so the Roosevelt, this is where all the top producers in New York used to go to get records. Like almost all of them. I saw almost all of them at these shows. And the whole thing about it, like when I first heard about the show, people told me that the records were so expensive, $100 for a record, which back then was unheard of. What, $100 for a record? I'm not, I didn't have the money for that type of thing back then. So I wasn't going to it. But then once I started writing for Rap Sheet and doing the World of Beats thing, then it's like, okay, I have to go to this record show. It's like going to Mecca or something. You have to do it. You have to see it. So I did go up there, and I like just as it had been told to me, all the biggest producers were there. I saw Diamond D, I saw Large Professor, saw Q-Tip, I saw Pete Rock, the Beat Miners, the Beat Nuts. You just name whoever, and almost all of them were there. And the other thing though was when I went there, I was looking at the crates. I was looking at some of the records they were selling. And I was like, I got this record. I got this record. I don't have this record, but I've seen it when I've been out digging. I didn't know what it was. I'm going to set up a table here and make some of this money. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. And that ended up being a nice little side hustle. It kept me able to buy records without going broke, pretty much. I didn't get rich doing it or anything, but yeah, it kept me, was able to feed my habit, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're not afraid to throw yourself in the mix when you see something. It's a good quality in this life.
For sure, for sure.
Some of those producers you mentioned, I mean, they're my foundation. Sometimes people say whatever you listen to as a teenager, that's your shit. I mean, those producers, that's my shit.
Yeah,
And they kind of set the foundation for me, reverse engineering their music, trying to learn their samples, and sometimes very rare.
yeah.
The fact that you saw that is amazing to me. And you called it infamous. I called it infamous. Do you mind sharing for our audience what makes it so infamous? What are some of the things you've seen if you're open to sharing?
Well, some things I'm not going to share. I did see some things that would be of interest that I'm not
Yeah.
going to share
Okay.
because yeah, because I love all those guys, man. They were all good customers to me and just cool dudes. Um, So certain things I'm not going to go into details about, but generally it wasn't a whole lot of that. It was just a thing of you get there real early in the morning, like on Sunday morning, like 6 or 7 o'clock. I forget exactly which time we would start. And yeah, all these guys would be like they come in with the big chains on and everything, just from being out all night at the tunnel or whatever spot was rocking the night before. They stayed up all night and would come into the Roosevelt and start buying records. You know what I mean? So for those who don't really know about the Roosevelt, though, it's one of the unsung great parts of 90s hip hop. 90s hip hop would not sound the same. It would not be the same without the records that were sold at those shows and bought by these great producers. You know what I mean? And yeah, all those guys that I mentioned that you said are like your foundation. Yeah, man, they kind of changed music because they took the whole thing of sampling and really turned it into an art form. You know what I mean? We could talk all day about selling somebody a certain record, and I can tell you about plenty of the records I've sold to people. It doesn't matter. Those guys took those records and did incredible work with them. So yeah, I would never try to take the credit for what they did, but I think still what happened at those shows should be acknowledged and it should be known because without the records that were sold at that show, the sound of 90s hip hop would not be the same for sure.
Think everything you said is true, and you're giving credit where credit's due. I think all the parts of this deserve credit. The artists who made the original music, the people
That's
who
true.
rediscovered, right?
That's true. That's true.
You having the taste to select these records, and them. I mean, their era of the '90s era went on for a long time, right? So they were making records over and over, even into the 2000s, and I think it all kind of fed off each other.
Right.
Now, I like how you want to keep some things to yourself. I understand, right? I don't want you to feel like you let any secrets out in this interview. But I'll say, I mean, when I was a kid, I heard about these stories too. I heard about people coming early in the morning. I heard about a lot of money being spent, and I heard a lot about a very famous artist at the time, Prince B from PM Dawn.
I knew that
Right?
was going to come up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rest in peace to Prince B.
Yeah. Let me share a little bit for our audience. Not everyone knows who he is. They had a extremely popular hip hop song, right? And it was essentially a pop song and very different than I mean, most hip hop was underground at that point. There was not the same level of popularity of rap music. We're talking early 2000s, right?
Early 90s.
Early 90s, even
Early
earlier,
90s.
right?
Yeah.
So their song Set Adrift on Memory Bliss sampled Spandau Ballet True, which everyone probably knows. You hear it on every radio station. And they were extremely successful, but there was a thing that that hip hop was underground. It truly was. And going pop was not seen as positive.
True.
Definitely not.
True.
It's a different world. It's a very different world now, right?
Very
The
different.
charts are dominated by good rappers now. It's quite
You're
different.
supposed to make pop records now. You're supposed to sell out. That's the
Yeah,
norm. That's what you're supposed to do now. So different world.
it's assumed. It's
Right.
assumed.
Right.
Now this, looking back, I mean, I disliked everything pop at that time. That's just me. Now I care much less. And I look at this guy. This poor guy was very wealthy. I mean, I'll just say that he probably was really rich. He was buying up a ton of shit, and I think people didn't like it at those record fairs. Is that what you experienced? Is that what you observed?
Absolutely. Like I said, I like Prince B. He was a good guy. He was a good customer for sure. And I think, yeah, the other producers did not like him because it seemed like the most of the record dealers would cater to him. Now, I didn't cater to him any more than I catered to anybody else, me personally. But you know, he was going there long before I started going there regularly, and they had already built up an animosity towards him. Um, but what some of the other dealers would tell me is that Prince B would always be he was good for the money. He wouldn't play around. Some producers would say, "Hold a record for me, and I'll get it," and then they wouldn't. They'd forget about it and wouldn't come up with the money and stuff like that. That's what I heard. I don't know. I never had any of those issues with any of the producers or anybody buying records. But yeah, that was the main thing that they didn't like Prince B about. And also, this was all off the heels of the whole KRS incident where KRS and his boys kind of beat him up and threw him off the stage. You know what I mean? So he was persona non grata in the hip hop community at that time, and that's just all it is. So he would come with two big bodyguard dudes, and he would buy his records. You know what I mean? My best story I had with him was before I even started setting up a table at the Roosevelt. I came one time and I had the Bob Azam record with Rain Rain Goes Away. And at the time, this was a big deal. People didn't really see it too much at the record shows there. So I brought it one day just to see what people knew about it, and everybody flipped out. Prince B said, "How much you want for it?" I said, "It's not for sale." He said, "Every man has his price." And he pulled out $400 for me, which at the time was astronomical. I said, "Yeah, all right, $400. Yeah, you can have it." I found another copy though, so it's all good. But no, Prince B, rest in peace to Prince B. I thought he was a cool guy. Might have felt differently.
Yeah, I think you have a really good perspective on it. Looking back, it was a long time ago. People were basically, I mean, 20-year-old guys from New York, rough parts of town, right? Uh, Bronx probably was a rough place back then where artists came from. And I think if you look back at it, this is just a guy. He made a pop hit. He likes music. He could have not collected records also and been even more rich. So it kind of feels bad looking back, especially since he's passed on. But it's cool to hear these stories.
Right, right. You know, it was a moment in time. That's all you can really say about it. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned some of the journalism you've done. I mean, through your website, World of Beats, sharing a lot of record knowledge, your rap sheet columns. Did you ever catch any challenges from all these people you wrote about? I mean, you wrote about people that you probably met. Did anyone ever get upset with you about an opinion or sharing a record or anything like that?
That's a good question. When I first started the World of Beats column, I kind of thought there might be a little bit of backlash because I was giving up some of the secrets and I knew how secretive people had been at that time. So what happened was, me like a dummy, I put my home phone number in the magazine so people could call me. I didn't care at the time. I wasn't thinking about it. But, we know now you do something like that, any kind of lunatic might call you and make threats to you. And a couple people did call me and make threats. One person, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was somebody from the West Coast who actually was like well known. I didn't know him that well at the time, but it was a name I kind of recognized. And they left something on my answer machine threatening that this was going to happen or whatever. So I was a little concerned with it for a minute, but then when I went to the Roosevelt for the first time, I talked to people and I asked them, "Hey, do you got a problem with the column?" Everybody was like, "Nah, it ain't no big deal." So I said, "All right, I'm not gonna worry about it from here on out. If anybody got a problem, they want to see me, we can handle it like gentlemen, whatever." But the thing about it, like the issue was always about giving away titles of stuff that people thought for some reason they own this record and that nobody else can know what it is. But I would always try to not give out the rarest stuff. I would give out stuff that was more common so that people who were beginners could, get inspired to start digging. And some people probably didn't even like that because now you got more people digging and you're taking up some of these records. It's going to be harder to find them. And in reality, that probably did happen. I think I did give birth to a lot of new diggers out there. But it was inevitable. It was going to happen anyway, whether it was me or whether it was somebody else. And then, like I said, there were other people who had beat digging magazine columns. I actually was not the first, but mine was the first one. I think in a national magazine that went big. So it made the most noise. So I became, I guess, the poster child for digging in crates as far as magazine writing goes. Anyway.
I certainly benefited from that. And for those beginners, I was a beginner. That's how I learned. No shame in my game.
Whatever master digger you want to name, they were all beginners at one time. So, you got to go through the ropes, you start out where you're at and you build your way up and, that's how it goes.
Absolutely. I think some of these rules that we're talking about, I mean, it's very different now. I had a guy on, really great guy. His name is B-Man, really great guy out of Virginia, right? And maybe a month ago, the song "So Be It" by the Clips was released on the internet. Not even the whole song, a snippet with a part of the video. And B-Man, my guy, he found the sample within 24 hours, he made an edit. He chopped it up with a video and put it out. I mean, the song wasn't even out.
Mm.
Eh,
That's some high level digging right there.
it's super fast, right? Super fast. Well, he heard it. He had a mixtape and he heard it and he listened to it was an Arabic sample. Credit to him. He's on his shit. Let's just say that wouldn't have been a good idea in the 90s. It's okay in 2025. I don't think Pharrell is going to call him. I think we're going to be all right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be fine.
Yeah, and I told him it was what he did was I enjoyed it. It made me like the song even more. So it's all good in this world.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
So you mentioned shifting to dealing to producers. Did working with those producers, selling them records, change your ear and how you dig? Did you say, oh, this kind of sound might be good. I should buy it. Maybe I'll sell it to this guy. Did that influence how you bought records?
Great question. Absolutely, it did. Because you would get to know the producers. You get to know what they like. Like, Lord Finesse, he likes this type of thing. Okay, when I'm out digging, I hear something. Okay, this is something Lord Finesse would probably like. I might put the needle to something. I got my little portable diggers, portable record players when I'm out digging, and I'll put the needle to it. Okay, no, Pete Rock would like this. This is definitely what's happening. And one of the things too that gave me a edge over some of the other dealers at the record show is that I actually listened to hip hop. I was in hip hop. I was trying to produce hip hop. I was involved. And some of those guys weren't necessarily, some of those guys were really rock guys who just happened to, they saw that something was happening and they capitalized on it. But I actually knew the music. So, like, say, during the time when the Wu Tang sound started really taking over, Wu-Tang was using a lot of strings. RZA was using a lot of strings. So I went buck wild in the easy listening section and found like actually rare easy listening records because a lot of easy listening records are common. You see them at the Salvation Army or whatever. But I was finding some that were like maybe not American, maybe from overseas or something, and just some ill easy listening joints. And for a while, I was making real nice money just selling easily listening records with strings to producers because I knew that's what was happening at the time. So yeah, absolutely thinking about what producers would be interested in, it played a big part in how I did it. I remember one time dudes were telling me, I don't want no funk. I don't want nothing with funk in it. I'm like, what are you talking about? But no, this is what was happening in hip hop at the time. We don't want nothing funky. We don't need that. I don't need no drum breaks. I can program my own drums. So give me the, and you give them what they want. They tell you what they want, and when I'm out digging, I'll look for what they're asking for, and I get it for
I know people use that word today, music curation. I mean, that's fucking curation,
them.
big
Right.
time.
Yeah, it's funny to me too. You mentioned that because a lot of people don't even say that they collectors. It's like, no, we're curators. We curate. Okay.
I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What you did was really, really curating. I mean, I often did that when I'd hear something like, that's like some diamond shit.
Mhm.
That's some finesse shit. That's some RZA shit.
Right.
You were doing it professionally. I was just a guy listening to records.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. Would you say, I'm gonna say this as a kind of rhetorical question. Do you think people sampled your mixtapes?
Well, I don't think I know they did. Some people
Hell
have
yeah.
told me they did. And some, it's like maybe they didn't sample off my mixtape, but it would be such a huge coincidence. There was one joint that was a DMX song, and I had just put the mixtape out not long before this DMX record came out, and it was a rare Spanish record. I mean, maybe the producer had the same record, but I just don't think so. I'm pretty sure they got that off my mixtape. But then there's been other ones where people actually told me, "Yo, I sampled such and such for your mixtape." Sometimes they would say, "Hey, I need the name of this," and I actually made some money a couple of times from giving them the information so they could clear the sample. Yep.
Okay, so you've won from this too. You weren't getting jacked. I mean, I think you knew the risks of what you're doing.
No, I was cool with that. I was cool with that. This one thing that my buddy, Beat Man, Danny Dan the Beat Man from the Bronx, he told me, people he did the Dusty Fingers compilations, and he told me, yeah, I want people to sample. I want people to make dope hip hop music instead of some of this whack stuff that's out here. So I feel the same way with mine. Yeah, go ahead and sample from it. I want to do something dope with what I'm putting out there, and that's fine with me. You don't have to even compensate me. I mean, I didn't play the music; I just put it on a tape. So yeah, by all means, do your thing.
You're ahead of your time, definitely generous that way. And I like that. I mean, that's more of the world now. When I see younger people, they discover music in a much faster way because you can look up anything, right? Especially on YouTube, and you can go around the world real quick. Now, is that better or worse? Who knows? But the access is there. So the experience is going to be different, and that's good too.
Yeah, it's very different. I don't know if people understand how much harder it was to do all this stuff before the days of the internet. It was very difficult. Even things that we take for granted now, like if you're going out digging, you got addresses. I mean, it's all on the internet, and you go to GPS, it tells you how to get there. Man, we used to have to go to A and buy road maps and actually map out the destination that you're going to and figure it out. Then you get lost and you got to stop at a gas station and ask for directions. How do you get here and there? It's so much easier, even if you're digging in the field. And now, if you're talking about just buying online, that's 10 times easier. You know what I mean? That you have information. You have almost every record is on YouTube. You know what I mean? You didn't know these records back then unless you really did your homework. You had to really work for it. Again, because a lot of people were not giving this information up to you. You know what I mean? It wasn't readily accessible. So now, I mean, people will piss me off and I'll give them like the name of a record or something, and they're still asking me questions. I'm like, yo, go to Google. What are you talking about? I gave you this much of it. And people are lazy. And I think that's kind of what the internet, all these good things has created something that's not so good at the same time. You know what I mean? You're not working as hard for it. And do you appreciate it as much when you don't work that hard for it? I don't know. I don't know. But the world is what it is, and things change, and you have to change with it, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. So you have this history. We're talking about a kind of moment in time where you're finding these rare records. You're curating for some of the major producers at that time. That's amazing. It's a certain sound of that time. Sounds change and people change. How has your ear evolved over time? Do you listen to the same kind of music today? Are you different in terms of what you dig for?
My ear has changed like 20, 30, 40, 50 times over the years. I mean, it's just it's one of these things we were talking about finding stuff in your collection that you didn't even know you had. Um, a lot of times there might be like, say, I'll hear a record or somebody will play something on Instagram or whatever, wherever, and I'll be like, yo, that's really dope. And I'll look, I was like, yo, I got this record. Why don't I know this song that you're playing? It's because I bought the record for a breakbeat, for a drum break or something. And I may have listened through the record. I may just skip through it. If I didn't hear something else that sounded like it was going to be a breakbeat or funky or something like a sample, I just didn't even pay any attention to it. You know what I mean? But now I'm going back and hearing, yo, this is really just a dope song, whether you sample it or not. But even like the things that people sample now has changed where, people might sample anything now, So yeah, so all those things make it so that your ear change, your taste change. What you like way back 30 years ago is different from what you like now. You know, what I mean, my ears are way open to more things now than they were back then. So yeah, I listen to stuff I never even thought I would listen to. Some of like the soft psych stuff that I get into and just crazy stuff, That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to expand your horizon. You're supposed to keep growing and don't just stay in one place because there's so much great music of all genres out there. So try to listen to as much as you can.
I have a similar experience. I listened to stuff mainly from a hip hop lens before. Stuff that could be sampled, whether it's a breakbeat or something can be flipped with a certain sound. Now, even a certain like intensity back then. And now my mind and my life is very different. And I listen to a lot of different kind of jazz that I used to sleep on. That's maybe spiritual jazz, or just more complex jazz that I might not have listened to in my hip hop only era. And I mean, it's great for me. It feels fantastic, and it's more in line with where my mentality is. So I think that's a good journey a lot of people go through.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Did you acquire most of your records in the kind of Northeast area? You're from Philadelphia, or did you travel around the world? Because you have some serious heat. I mean, I don't even know where you would get all of that.
So in the early days, yeah, it was just Northeast. It was I go from Philly to, of course, to New York, but then also to different spots in Jersey, Delaware. I had a great spot in Delaware. Down Baltimore, DC, Florida. When I be down there, I go digging. I had numerous spots. I had Daytona Beach. I had a spot. When I was in Orlando, I found a spot. Numerous spots, really. But yeah, it was mostly Northeast or sometimes, like I said, Southeast USA. But then later on, I started getting stuff worldwide. You know, we start meeting dealers from the UK, and they started putting me on to like the library records, or like the one of the things that was hot at the Roosevelt shows at one time was these little 10, not even 10, but these $1 record, dollar bin records over there, like the Tops of Pops and all these little records that did like cover versions, and a lot of them would have dope drum breaks. You know what I mean? So I started learning about that stuff, and that just opened up the whole floodgate. You say there's all kinds of records over in the UK. There's all kinds of records in other parts of Europe. There's all kinds of records in all other parts of the world. You know, just like you had a certain scene in the United States during the '70s, you had it all over the world. You know what I mean? So then that's when started really like even before the internet started doing like mail order and buying stuff just through mail order. You get these catalogs from different dealers. Most of them were all across the United States, but then you get some from overseas as well. And yeah, so I started buying records from all over the world.
You definitely have an ear, and you've shared it with many people. A lot of people have learned from what you do. I think it's very, very generous of you in a certain way. I know it's not the kind of phrasing they use in the rap world, but it's how I feel. So I appreciate that. What in life at this point, it could be music or otherwise, what excites you? What inspires you now?
Well, I tell you, I still love music. I'm not into it as deeply as I once was, but I love music. No question about it. What excites me the most now is freedom because I just retired from my day job. Even while I've been doing music all these years, I never quit my day job. I always, the job became a career, so I wasn't going to quit that. And raising a family and everything. So what excites me now is freedom. I'm going to travel the world. I just got back from Aruba. I'm going to Vegas again at the end of the week, and I'm going to travel all over the world. I already got tickets and everything booked for Africa next year. I plan to do the UK and all of Europe. Japan is on my bucket list, and that's what excites me now is seeing the world, going out and meeting some of the people who I've known for years over the internet, and hopefully getting deeper into doing music, whether it's doing the rap stuff or Soulman World of Beats might make a comeback, man. And you never know. We might start doing some of that again. We'll see.
I think you'd be surprised how many people would dig that now. There are more fans of this kind of music than maybe 20, 30 years ago in the world. I mean, having a podcast about this, I see all types of ages, types of people, and places in the world who love this shit. They do. You'd have more fans than you think, is what I'll say. I think you have a lot to share. And it's funny you said freedom. I mean, that's what I think about. All right. That is what I'm chasing in this life. Life's good for me, for sure. I have a lot to be grateful for. However, that is always what I'm like working towards. So I think it's really deep that you said that. So I think I'd love to hear that from you.
Yeah, it's just already. I've only been retired from my job for like a couple weeks, and it's already just liberating, like you wouldn't believe. Just not having to get up and go to that volunteered slavery anymore. It's even though I love my job was cool, but
Yeah.
it's great to be free now to do anything I want to do, however I want to do it, and yeah, I'm gonna see the world and do a lot.
Hey man, different phases, different things in life are important. You're at this freedom stage. I want you to enjoy it. I mean, you have a lot to look forward to. For our audience, where can people find out more about what you do?
Well, the best places, I guess, is just to check me out on social media, which would be Instagram, Phill Most Chill, or Facebook, which is Phill Most. Yeah, don't go to the one that says Phill Most Chill, aka Soulman World of Beats. That's an offshoot. Go to the Phill Most one on Facebook to check me out, see what I'm doing. Other than that, also Bandcamp. I haven't dropped anything in a minute, but I will be dropping a whole lot as far as we have the Phill Most Chill Bandcamp for the rap stuff. And then we have the Soulman World of Beats, which has all my whole catalog pretty much of all the archaeologist classics tapes, all the Soulman World of Beats mixes. And like I said, I'm free now, so there may be a whole lot more coming. So we'll see.
I think our audience will learn a lot checking out your stuff. I really enjoyed speaking with you today, and I hope our audience enjoyed it too. Thanks for your time, brother.
Hey, no problem, man. It was a pleasure for sure, man.
All right. Peace.
Peace.